in the second part of the lecture, we will see that there are three algorithms for this partitioning. The first, the two partitioning that we have learned, fixed size partitioning, variable size partitioning. Okay, to allocate memory to the processes, they use three algorithms. Those algorithms are named first fit, best fit, and the worst fit. Now we will see an example of how this algorithm work. So the algorithm name are first fit algorithm, best fit algorithm, worst fit algorithm. They are very simple and straightforward. You will see once I explain them. So let's assume that we are start with the variable size partitioning, because if I ask you, if the with the first impression that we had, this one seems much more logical, variable size partitioning. Okay, because every time a process comes, depending on the size of the process, we'll allocate memory. So no space will be wasted. So we will first start with this one, the variable size partitioning. So we will apply first fit algorithm in the variable size, best fit, and the worst fit. Okay, so let us start. So what is our first step? We have, this is our existing memory. Okay, out of this memory, these are free space and these are already allocated. We have to allocate memory for this four process: P1, P2, P3, and P4. So what is the approach for the first fit algorithm? What the first fit algorithm does, okay, it starts with searching the space from the base or initial address. So basically it will start searching for an empty space from this point. Let's assume this is the address 0 or address 1. Okay, and it will keep searching. Use the first free block which is capable enough to store the process. So whenever it is searching, it will search for a space that is 300 or more. So if you look at P1, what is the size of P1? The process that I'm trying to store, 300, right? So what will happen, that this first fit algorithm, it will start looking from location number 1, or we can say location number 0. Okay, and it will look for a memory space that is first of all free, and secondly 300 or more. So we have these two conditions. Okay, that is, first it will be free and 300 or more. So let me write it down: free and 300 or more. So these two conditions. Okay, now let's see which one fulfills the condition. We can clearly see that out of the memories we have, okay, the first one 50 doesn't fulfill it. Then the free, this is already allocated, so obviously this is not an option. Second free space, there is 150. Is it is free? Yes, fulfills the first condition, but is it 300 or more? No. So this is, we can skip next one. 300 is already full. 350, yes, this is free and this is 300 or more. So we will allocate our space to this 350. So process 1 will be allocated space in this here. And what is the rest space? That is 50. Total was 350. We only needed 300. So 50 will be here. Then we have process P2. Again, it will start looking from the first free location. So this is the first free, 150. Is it large enough to store 25? Obviously, yes. So it will store 25. And what is the rest amount of space? 125. So 125 will be stored here. Same way we have P3. P3 is 125, so it will be stored in the first available space. And finally, you have P4. So we have successfully allocated all the spaces, all the processes memory. So this is almost like a first come, first serve. Process 1 will be allocated first, then process 2, process 3, and process 4, so on. So this is the approach for first fit algorithm. Now let's go for the next one, best fit algorithm. So best fit algorithm, what it does, it actually have a better intention in mind. Okay, we're trying to actually make it more optimized. How? We are saying that, okay, instead of searching the first free space, let's first search all the spaces. Okay, search all the spaces, and after searching all the spaces, use the smallest free block which is capable enough to store the process. So basically we have 150 here and 350 here. Okay, so at first we need to store P1. Okay, so which one is enough to store P1? This one, right? So P1 will be stored here. So for the first case, the second condition doesn't appear. So P1 will be stored here. Okay, for the second one, now we will see. In P2, okay, we have two options. Okay, P2, we can store P2 here or here. In the first fit algorithm, we stored P2 here. But in this one, what we have in mind, we have to see the second condition. The second condition is that given you have multiple available spaces, that is 150 and 25, and we need only 25. So which one is smallest but capable enough to store the process? So which is small but capable to store 25? Obviously out of this two, 50 is small and capable to store 25. So basically we will go for the 50. So we are trying to make it a little bit more efficient. Okay. So you will see that it will be stored here. Then goes for the P3. For the P3, we only have one option. Okay, this is 150. So it will be stored here and 25 left. Now the problem starts from here. Now if I want to store P4, okay, we have the total number of space that we have left is 50, 25 by 25, 50 free space, but they are not contiguous. Remember, we are learning contiguous memory allocation, but this 25 that we have in the screen and this 25, if I sum them up, they are 50. They are enough to store P4. But the problem is they are not contiguous, and this is a contiguous memory allocation algorithm. And that is the reason this P4 will not be stored. So even though we had the best intention in mind, we wanted to make the algorithm more efficient, okay, somehow it actually became more problematic for us. Okay, so the first fit algorithm, even though it was going very simply, okay, it actually could store all the processes, but here this one is unable to store all the processes. Okay, now let's see another example, that is Orst fit. So in the Orst fit, this is basically like the opposite of so this is called external fragmentation. You see, we have the total amount of memory that is needed to store P4, but the memory allocations are not contiguous. So what will happen? Okay, P4 will not be stored. So this is external fragmentation. I will come to this later again. Now, what is the Orst fit? This is basically like the opposite of best fit. In the best fits, we try to find the smallest and try to make sure that everything goes into efficiently. Okay, but in case of Orst fit, what we do, we basically look for the, first we look for the empty block. Okay, 150, 350. So we have to store 300. Okay, so we will look for the largest free block to store the process. So out of 150, 350, this is the largest. So we will store P1 here. Now, if we, let me just 1 second. Here, so we'll store P1 here. But you will understand the second condition now. Okay, P2, look at P2. To store P2, we have two options. We can store P2 in 150 and 50. But out of these two, which one is the largest? Obviously, this 150 is largest, right? So that means we will store P2 here. Okay, then for P3, we have only one option and P4. So you see, even the Orst fit algorithm, even though we didn't have the best intention in mind, performed better than the best fit. Okay, so in case of variable size, okay, obviously this depends on two parameters. First of all, the size of the processes. Like for some cases, sometimes best fit might be better. Okay, but overall, after comparing for different cases, it's been concluded that for the variable size, okay, for the variable size, the best, the first fit and the Orst fit algorithm performs better than the best fit algorithm. For the variable size allocation, first fit and Orst fit algorithm performs better than the best fit algorithm. Now, second case, instead of using variable size, why don't you use the fixed size? Fixed size means that the memory will be allocated into certain space, just like the way we have seen the example of 10 kilobyte memory. The memory was allocated in certain space. Okay, so these are, my memory is allocated into 200, 400, 600, 500. These are some sizes I have divided by my memory. Okay, now the memory allocation blocks are fixed. Okay, so what is the approach? We first, what we do, we search for the free spaces from position 1 that is capable to store the data. So if I talk about P1, okay, so what, for if I want to store P1, what I will do, okay, I will start searching for empty space that is big enough to store P1, and I will stop at the first empty space. So here, is 200 feet enough to store 357? No. Is 400 feet enough? Yes. So I will store P1 here. Then if I go for P2, is 200 feet for storing 200, is this one is enough for storing P2? No, because I need 210. Is this one enough? Yes, so I will store P2 here. Then if I go for P3, okay, so is this one is enough for P3? No. Is this one is already taken? This one is already taken. Is this one is enough for P3? The answer is yes. So it will be stored here. Okay, and finally, if I go for P4, which is 491, you will see that this 300, this 250, this 200, they are not enough for storing of P4. So P4 will not be stored. So here, as you can see the explanation, because of the external fragmentation, okay, it's not possible to store P4. So let me show you the slide one by one. So first we store P1. So this black space that you see is actually wasted because no other process can use it. We only needed 357. Then if I store P2, you see, I only needed 210, but the rest 390, they're totally wasted. Okay, no other space, no other people, no other process can be allocated this memory. Same way, if I go for P3, okay, this 32 kilobyte are wasted. So for this external fragmentation, okay, lot of memory is getting wasted. And now when I'm trying to actually store P4, there's no space left for P4. So in the fixed size, this one doesn't perform good. And same applies for the best and the worst case. And you will see, okay, let me restart the meeting.